100% Pat? No, I was asking. Because I talked with him.
Welcome to the South Russell Village Council meeting. Today is Monday, March the 13th. Please stand. Before we begin the meeting, I'd like to give the floor to Councilmember Ruth Kavanaugh to speak about former Mayor Bill Young. Councilwoman Kavanaugh, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. Most of you have already heard that Bill Young passed away. He was involved in village everything from 1988 till he left in 2003. Started as a councilman in 88. He was on one of the boards, which I didn't find out which one previous to that. He became mayor in 92 and stayed until 2003 when he was elected, or I don't remember, elected or appointed commissioner in Geauga County, where he did a great job. And he was there until 2013. And my feelings on him are this. He was very kind to all of us, and we were a mixed group, just like this one. He was generous, and he was extremely hardworking. He started his day before he went to work at Cigna Insurance by going around to the village folks, asking Dave Hosevar what he could do. Every day of the 1998 75th, he would ask me what he could do to help me, and he helped a lot. So we give condolences to his wife and to his 3 sons and to the grandchildren, and we thank the Lord for his service.
Let's take a moment. Thank you. Please join our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Fiscal officer will take the roll.
Porter is absent. Bell.
Here.
Berger.
Here.
Canton.
Here.
Kavanaugh. Here. Kaliki.
Here. Okay. Mr. Berger, you want to do a motion to excuse Mr. Porter's absence?
I make the motion that council approve the absence of Councilman Porter from tonight's meeting.
Second.
Moved and seconded, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. We have minutes of our February 27th regular council meeting. Any changes or reductions or additions to the minutes? We have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved by Canton. Second. Seconded by Bell. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes have passed. We have minutes from the March 7th special council meeting. Any changes or additions to the special council meeting minutes? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the special council meeting minutes?
Move.
Moved by Kavanaugh, seconded by Canton. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are passed. Okay, we have 2 sets of visitors tonight. We have the Green Valley Fire Department reporting on our ambulance billing, and we have resident Kelly Kimball. Kelly, we're going to have you go first. So the way we operate, we're just going to keep this microphone near you, and the sound is picked up, but sometimes it's hard to hear. So if we just put it on a chair, you can hold it. You will not hear yourself talk, but it goes out through our YouTube channel. So that's why we want to make sure you can be heard. All right, Kelly, the way we operate is you're given 5 minutes to speak. After 3 minutes, I'll stick my 2 fingers up to say, hey, you've got 2 minutes left. And then at the end, we'll thank you, and you can be seated. Pass the microphone over to Captain Mark, it's not Captain Vettel. And then please be seated. So we'll start out with your name and address.
I wanted to start by thanking you, Mayor and Council, for granting me time to speak tonight. My name is Callie Leavenworth Kimball. I grew up not 4 miles from here and graduated from SG in 1985. And I've been able to see chief here. I also served our village, the Chagrin Falls Police Fire Department for about 10 years. Next month, I will have been with my husband, a resident at 104 Lakeview Lane for 23 years. A very dear, trustworthy, and wise friend recently said to me, "Say what you mean, because you can never take it back." Now, I prepared a whole litany of facts and ordinances and timeframes and incidences regarding the treatment of my husband, Sergeant Eric Kimball, before, during, and after January 28th. However, I've decided that's not what I wish to focus on tonight. There'll be plenty of other council meetings. Tonight, what I want to share with you is something about who my husband, Eric Kimball, is. Had it not been for the events on January 28th, tonight Eric would have been finishing up the first night of his third week down in Columbus at PELC, the Police Executive Leadership College. This is taken directly from the PELC website. Quote, "It's an intensive learning experience focused on leadership skills vital to long-term personal success and change in organization, both for the benefit, both of those things for the benefit of the community." End quote. Do you know what was paramount to Eric as he was preparing for this 3-week-long executive leadership course? What was imperative to Eric was not letting you, his police department, his police family down. What was imperative to Eric was not letting his village down. What was in the forefront of his mind, directing his efforts and his working tirelessly, going the extra mile, like working through no less than 4 drafts of his 14-page paper that was due before class started, all the while never thinking of asking to be compensated for all of this extra time. It's just what he expected of himself to get the absolute best job he was capable of doing done. Much has been going through my mind in the past 44 days. It seems to me the governance of our village has gone above and beyond to hear all that the chief and the lieutenant have had to share about Sergeant Kimball. Council invited them both, not to 1, but 2 executive council sessions to hear them out, to hear their collective version of what they had to say. Not once was Sergeant Kimball given the opportunity as an employee to be heard by you. The words spoken on January 5th to Sergeant Eric Kimball, right before he was to leave for PELC, by the very person who was supposed to be his leader, his mentor, a person who, in my experience of leadership, should be guiding him, encouraging him, and teaching him, walked over to him while he was seated in a supervisor's meeting, leaned over him, and told him point blank, "You are nothing more than a glorified patrolman." And then proceeded to walk right out of the room. Tonight I speak to you as an upstanding resident of nearly 2.5 decades, whose family has been upended by your collective actions. Our police department, our village, has done not only a deep disservice to one of its outstanding, dedicated brothers, but also to one of its long-standing families. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We're moving on now to Chagrin Valley Fire Department. I was going to call you captain, but it's your chief of... Assistant Chief Chagrin.
Correct, Chagrin Valley Fire Department.
And
my mom named me Mark, so please call me that.
okay, Mark, but you also are chief of Solon.
I am.
Right, okay. All right.
It's all confusing, Mark is very easy, so.
Mark is easy, I can handle that.
Okay.
All right, ambulance billing.
Yeah, so the mayor asked me last evening to talk about how we do our ambulance billing, kind of just a refresher. I intended to stop by the station and look it up, and I failed to do that, but it was during when Mayor Breck was mayor here that South Russell approached the fire department and asked we could start doing the ambulance billing. So prior to that, each of the communities was billing for the ambulance services. And the Village of South Russell ran into a bit of a snag with that with Medicare, in that since South Russell Village wasn't actually providing the ambulance service, that is providing the care, Medicare felt that they couldn't do the billing. And so it was jeopardy of losing the revenue from the billing that was in question. And Mayor Brett and council approached us about could we take over the billing for it, since that's who Medicare preferred, was the actual provider to do it. It was not something that we had done in the past, nor were we prepared to do. But we looked into it, we hired an attorney, because there's quite a bit of legalities associated with it. And we took it on for not only the Village of South Russell, but for all the communities that we serve. So we've been ambulance billing since that time. We collectively, all the communities got together, selected a vendor who would be the one that would do the ambulance billing for us. That company is Life Force Management. They've been doing that billing for us since we started. And we collectively decided on billing practices of how we would administer the program, and have moved forward with it since then. So the contracts that we come out and see from you and that you provide for us guarantees that amount of money is paid. But by the ambulance billing, we actually reduce your invoices by that much. We receive the funds in as they're collected. They get deposited into a bank account at KeyBank. But quarterly, we true those up for each one of the communities and reduce your invoice for that month by that amount from that quarter. And then go do invoicing the next 2 months, the regular invoicing, and then the next quarter again, reduce it by the amount of the ambulance billing. So the ambulance billing offsets your cost for your ambulance contract, or your EMS and fire contract. Just as an example, over the past 2 years, the amount collected in 2021 was $78,199, and in 2022 was $79,289 for the Village of South. So with that, I mean, that's kind of the basic overall concept of it. I can certainly get into as much detail as you like, but with 5 minutes, I want to just kind of entertain questions. So.
I got a question for you, Mark. It's hypothetical. So I'm on Medicare.
Mhm.
I slip and fall coming down my back steps. I have my phone with me and I call 911. I also have private insurance for the cleanup part.
Mhm.
Tell me how much that may cost.
So that would likely, so we have 3 different levels of billing rates. There's a basic life support, which is what that sounds like that would be. And that's $350 is what's billed. That's not what we receive. And then if it's advanced life support, so that would be starting an IV, intubating someone, doing cardiac monitoring, defibrillating someone, giving medications, inserting chest tubes, those kind of things. Then that would be $500. And if someone were in cardiac arrest and required kind of extended advanced life support service, that's $600. So those are the 3 fees. But as I mentioned, we don't get those fees. I've never seen us ever be paid the amount that we invoice. Medicare has established rates that they are willing to pay regardless of what you invoice, and that's what we would get. So in your case, I believe the current rate is right around $200. I may be off by $20 either way with that, but so invoicing for $350, we would get $200, and that would be credited back to Southwest.
And then you mentioned the Life Force. So when I was a school nurse, we handed Medicaid billing because we had, that population. We paid a percentage, I think it was 30% of what you collected went to the billing agency. So do you know that percentage?
You're paying 7% for that.
That's really good.
7% for Life Force Management to send invoices out, and do a phone follow-up.
So that's worth
send
it.
letters out.
Yeah.
And then the fire department also collects 2% for the additional work that we had to purchase new software. And there's quite a bit of work on our end of it in order to make that work. So total it's 9%. 2% for the fire department, and 7% for the building company.
Good.
Other
Mark?
questions?
You mentioned 3 tiers of service.
Yes.
When was the last time those rates were adjusted?
They have not been adjusted Probably in 12 years.
Why?
Because with a few exceptions, and I can go into detail of those, it doesn't really affect the amount that we receive. So, I guess I should explain, whatever the insurance company pays, in addition to that, we're gonna balance bill following that. So
Right.
if your insurance company would pay the $200 and the fee were $350, we would balance bill that. Most of the time, we don't receive that balance billing. Most people don't pay it, honestly. So typically, we get what we get from the insurance company, and some portion of the time, we get the balance billing.
Okay, so you confused me.
Okay.
$79,000 was collected last year.
Yes,
Was that's from the insurance
that's
companies?
a combination of all of the sources.
All of the sources, okay? And that's rebated back to the village.
It's not rebated.
Well,
It's just what the word is.
I apologize.
Yeah, because there's
Wrong
annual
word.
payback law, so it is credited back. to the-
Credited back, okay, good word, okay. That's why I'm not an accountant. But credited back, okay, so, but you're telling me that a significant portion of the balance bills never get paid?
Correct.
They never get followed up on? Well, that's-
They do get followed up on, but they often are.
Okay, but is that not revenue loss to the village?
Yes.
So it's people that don't pay their.
Okay,
bills.
so how do we do a better job of collecting the balance bill?
So it depends on how aggressive you want to be in collecting that money. So we could turn these over to a collection company who would probably pretty aggressively go after the funds. That collectively, the villages at the time decided they didn't want to do that.
Because can I say, I remember years ago, it was, you would bill the insurance company, and whatever the insurance company accepted, you accept it, and if they were a resident, they didn't have to pay the difference.
No, that's not correct.
That's not correct.
So we have to treat every person, resident or non-resident, exactly the same in our attempt to collect. And although we can look at individual hardships and individually assess that hardship, we do not uniformly write off residents versus non-residents.
And then you guys would send them
Technically, we do so.
to collections? Do you then send them to collections? Because we just got a call last week from a resident who they didn't pay it, they didn't think they owed that difference, and then they were sent to collections. Is that how it occurs?
There's very few that are actually sent on to collections, mostly because the collections companies don't feel that there's enough money in it in order to go after it. So if the balance bill and the difference is $70, the collection companies are interested in thousands, and typically, what we do have a collection company that we utilize. And where those are utilized is where the person who we're billing doesn't pay anything. So they ignore phone calls, they don't provide information, they just basically ghost us. Those would get turned over to collections.
Thank you.
Can
I'm
you-
sorry, there's one other category, and that's, many of the insurance companies we have contracts with, and the contract means that the insurance funds get paid directly to us instead of getting paid to the patient and then expecting them to pay us. So we know that the patient got paid from the insurance company, but they didn't pay us, those also get turned over to collections.
Can you provide us with dollar amounts as to uncollected funds?
Yeah, last year, I think the total billed was $99,000 for South Russell Village, and $79,000 something was collected, so.
Okay. I'm going to suggest that we have more conversation as a finance committee on this topic and decide whether that $20,000 is worth going after.
And I would like to really do it with all the communities, because I'd like to have a uniform policy amongst them. And as we talk about, if there's discussion about changes to that billing policy, it'd be nice that it's uniform amongst the communities for us, as well as many of our residents go, South Russell residents go visit other communities nearby, and they use ambulance service there, so it makes sense to be.
We'll have that discussion, we'll have it with our safety committee, and then I'm sure we'll come back to you with comments and recommendations as to what we'd like to see going forward.
Yeah, as a, if we were a government agency, which we are not, we're a private nonprofit corporation, we would be able to use the state attorney general's office for those collections. And they hold up tax payments and tax refunds and things like that to collect them. We don't have the option to do that, we just order that.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
No, but that's really interesting because this sounds like it started off, well, first of all, 911 started off as a way to not send the funeral home ambulances out to pick people up. And no good deed goes unpunished by billing, so. It's a wonderful service.
Anybody else?
I just, well, add one more thing. All the building companies and other fire departments will talk about, the Chagrin Valley is one of the highest pay rates, of any place that I'm aware of. So, of the communities that we serve, we're doing much better than Billing than any of the others I've talked to. So,
Why don't we do this? Finance will look at it with safety. Suppose, once a year, there's supposed to be an advisory committee that gets together on the fire department. So if you come up with something, maybe in the fall, we could pull the 6 communities together and say, hey, let's take a look at the operations of the fire department so we can let our residents know that, hey, we did look into it.
Yeah.
And this could be one of the things on the top.
Great. As I mentioned to you when you set up the meeting, for me to come out, I said it was very timely because we were discussing having a meeting to get all the communities together to talk about increasing the rates.
Mhm.
Because there are some opportunities to, collect more from some payers, like workers' comp, for example, motor vehicle accidents is another, with private insurance companies, that raising the rates would affect, but the great majority of the patients that we see are private insurance in that regard.
All right, so we got some work to do.
Yep.
On a different topic, how frustrating is the construction project?
How frustrating is it that it isn't moving yet?
Yes.
Yeah, very frustrating for firefighters, I think even more so for Rob Jamison, who's desperately trying to get the project going, so. It's not for lack of effort, there's a lot going on over there right now.
That was a very impressive front page article in Chagrin Valley Times. So I don't remember how many females are on the staff now. That was very nice.
7, I believe, yeah.
7. All right, anything else for our guests? You're both welcome to stay. This is also a good time to sneak out if you'd like to sneak out.
Thanks.
Got to leave a microphone on the chair, okay?
All right, thanks.
All right, we're now at the mayor's report.
Maybe Leslie's handling it, so.
Okay, Tim had heard 17, so that's coming up on Thursday. Please come, it's a good chance to meet everybody and relax in a, it's not the prettiest setting in the world. I mean, we just put a lot of snow plow and put up some tables, but it's a nice thing. Tomorrow, we also have, that's a special council meeting on Thursday. Tomorrow we have a special council meeting because we're gonna walk the Manor property. I don't know how many people are actually going to show up. I do know we have one reporter. I know Eric's going to be there. Kim Brewster will do most of the talking, and there'll just be a chance for kind of get closure to this project. So that'll be tomorrow at 1 o'clock.
Mayor, where are they meeting?
We're going to meet at the corner of Manor Brook and Chillicothe Road. The Ohio Municipal League has hired basically a lobbying firm called the Montrose Group. They had their first meeting on Thursday, a Zoom meeting, and it's very concerned with House Bill 1 and the possibility that local income tax could be removed. It's, it's a lot of stuff going on. We don't really know what the state of Ohio is going to do, but it's better to be prepared and get ahead of the game. We have request, Congressman Joyce and Senator Brown, they both have a chance every year, I guess, to request funding out of the House Appropriations Committee. So we have been, they sent this notice out about a week or two ago, and the deadline is coming up quickly. But basically, we are looking at supporting the McFarland plant, our sewage plant. And they're looking for a grant to do some upgrades there. And they're asking for a letter from us to Representative Joyce and to Sherrod Brown on this issue. Also, we've been asked by the Chagrin Valley Dispatch to do a letter for the construction of a Chagrin Valley Dispatch headquarters. They've grown from 6 different people to now we have 31 different communities involved. So that's coming up. And then today, we got a request from Chagrin Falls. It came, basically, what they're looking at is to improve their regional water system and their sewer system upgrade. This came from Mayor Tonko this afternoon. So you have the example of the McFarland letters. You don't have the one from Chagrin Falls, or you don't have the one from Chagrin Valley Dispatch. How can we do this, solicitor, without holding a special meeting or something like that? Or what's the best way to go about sending letters of support if council wants to send letters of support?
What does it mean to support? I mean, their request was just to support the efforts. I mean, I want to make sure that the
Yes.
support doesn't
Yeah,
get tied to money.
Monetarily?
No, they're just asking for,
To get it done?
yes. I'll give you the first paragraph for the second paragraph. The Village of South Russell would like to express our support for Geauga County's request for fiscal year 2024 community project funding request for the renovation and upgrade of the McFarland wastewater treatment plant. That's what they're asking for, so basically to support their grant for the McFarland plant.
They being who? Chagrin Falls or the?
No, addressing it to Sherrod Brown and Dave Joyce.
Yeah, this is Geauga County, since it's a Geauga County sewage plant.
Right, those are the letters that everyone has, I think.
Yes, I think everyone has.
So there's two different sets. One has an additional paragraph from the mayor talking about his public service, and the other one is without that additional paragraph. And so I think that was actually discussed at one point, was it not, by either Nick Boris or someone from Geauga County Department of Water Resources?
Thursday.
Okay,
Yeah, Chris, yeah, they came Thursday.
So-
We got this last Thursday.
right, and he had prepared, I think, a form letter without, again, the first paragraph. So the question is, which one are we going to, it's the exact same letter to Representative Dave Joyce, and the same letter is proposed to, I believe, Senator Brown.
Yes.
The question is just whether or not we're going to include the first paragraph. I thought you guys actually had already kind of agreed to go ahead and support the wastewater treatment plant. I guess
Okay.
I was wrong on that, but I thought that you had, and it was just a matter of the letter being drafted by, well, I put on village letterhead, right? But I thought it was drafted actually by the county.
Yeah, it's just,
Okay.
we got a form letter from him Thursday afternoon saying would you do this letter this week? And I added the first paragraph about my experience.
Okay.
So that would go to Brown and to Joyce if we want to do that.
I'm sorry, Mayor, question?
Sure.
Council hasn't seen this letter until tonight, is that correct? And council hasn't had any information about this process until tonight?
Correct.
Okay,
We
So-
got, we got the request Thursday afternoon.
all right, so this is federal funds that we're hoping that the legislature in Washington DC will approve for this county project for McFarland wastewater.
Yes.
And all we're doing is saying, we want you to support this.
Yes.
Mhm.
So you have,
I think-
you got two of them here, the one going to Joyce and to Brown.
Yeah.
And then theoretically, you should have two more. You should have one coming if we want to support Chagrin Falls water lines. And then there'd be one supporting Chagrin Valley Dispatch, one to build a headquarters.
Okay,
Everyone's going after this federal money. But we haven't written the letters yet.
What is Chagrin Falls specifically asking us to do?
Okay, please accept this letter of support for the Chagrin Falls Regional Water System and Sewer System upgrade, which will benefit the health, safety, and economic interest of residents and businesses in the water and sewer districts serving the communities, all of these communities, including us.
okay, so we're included in that,
Yes.
in the sewer district.
Basically, from Laurel west, we have Chagrin Water. For the Chagrin Heights.
Sewers are countryside, water is Laurel.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, we do have,
District too, right?
we do have Laurel, we do have Chagrin sewers in South Russell too.
Right. And Councilman Bell asked, and in the business district, they use Chagrin Water and Chagrin sewers, is that correct?
they use Chagrin sewers.
I don't know about water.
Do they have East Quadrant? I
Okay,
don't remember.
all right.
I think it is Chagrin Water as well there.
Okay.
Okay, but there's a legitimate interest for South Russell to support these activities because they do affect businesses and residents in the village of
Yes,
South Russell. Okay.
Yeah.
That's helpful, thank you.
but, they're just looking.
You're looking for
here's a letter.
letters of support,
Yeah,
okay.
when you get it, yeah. And then the Chagrin Valley Dispatch, they want support to possibly build a headquarters.
Can somebody, I'm not well versed in that. I know that dispatch was changed and regrouped, what, chief, maybe about 5 years ago? New dispatch center?
Probably more than that, maybe
Is it in Mayfield?
10 years. There's 3 centers. One's in Bedford, one's in Brecksville, and the other one is in, I'm not sure.
Cleveland Heights, by seven.
So do they wanna, do you
We
know,
would like to
Mayor?
have one headquarters instead of 3 smaller places.
Okay.
And they're hoping for this money. I mean, I think there's only a limited amount of money. Never been involved in this before, and I think the timeline is very quick.
So with respect to the dispatch center, are they looking for our support in terms of monetary support, much like the fire department?
No, just a letter of support saying we want,
One dispatch center instead of 3?
basically.
For a federal grant?
So, yeah, for a grant to build a dispatch center.
So it sounds like money's out there and it's who gets the piece of the pie.
Yes. That's basically it. Money's out there.
Yeah, these letters of support are useful in all sorts of different levels of funding, state and federal. The more buy-in you can get from like the surrounding communities and the surrounding areas, the more attractive your funding request looks to the people who dole out the dollars. So if there's a widely supported and widely dispersed area that this improvement is going to affect, that means something in ranking them.
I was just looking for a clarification because there is a support to say, yeah, I think the federal government ought to give us money. And there's the support that says, please contribute to our new building.
Right.
So that's what I wanted to see if we could.
So Mayor, what are you looking for from council?
Ideal, I'd like to see a motion to support 4 letters written on behalf of the village to Congressman Joyce, Sherrod Brown, which should support the McFarland plant, and then a letter of support, let's see, Chagrin wants theirs goes to Sherrod Brown, and then a letter of support to Joyce and Brown supporting the Chagrin Valley Dispatch.
And what is the timing for requiring all these letters? I mean,
We got this last Thursday, and the Jogga Water Resource Sewage Plant said they need it this week.
okay, well,
And
I mean, we have 2 of them in front of us,
Yes.
which I think council can move on. And even though the other letters are form letters, I think it's probably, council should see the document before they say this is approved to go,
okay,
just as a matter of form.
all right, I'll tell you what, I can write them tonight or tomorrow. We have to have a special council meeting then to approve, okay? All right,
Thursday
Um,
before lunch.
now, how many votes, special council meeting, we need 5 people, right?
No.
4?
The chief just sent me the one for the dispatch, so I can print it for you to review before the end of the meeting if you want. I don't have the other one.
Okay, tell you what,
Do you want to hold all of them till Thursday? Do you want to do these 2 tonight?
well,
What makes, what do you think?
I would prefer doing them tonight and get them
Well,
over.
okay, so I'll make the motion that council approve the letters to Senator Brown and Representative Joyce regarding the McFarland wastewater treatment plant and letter of support. So moved.
Wait, really quick, which letter? Because there's 2 versions.
Oh,
Is it the one that includes the paragraph from the mayor in the beginning that's personal to the mayor?
Both of mine have the mayor's.
You do.
Well, no, it's the second one's don't.
Yes. I put in.
Okay, so I will amend my motion to specify that it is the letter that includes the paragraph added by the mayor. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passed.
Okay.
Mayor, who seconded it? Please. Thank you.
Okay, what do you want to do about the letters for the dispatch and the letters for the Chagrin Falls water line? You're not in town, Porter's not in town. We need 4. We have a special meeting tomorrow at 1.
We could, what about Thursday? Is everybody?
Thursday? He's not gonna be there.
I won't be around.
Want to meet Friday morning? Chris Bell, the working man, how's Friday morning?
Friday morning could work.
Not good for you?
Jerry?
All right. Okay,
Well,
Well,
I think Mark will be back by then.
Mark?
Yes.
I don't know. You know what? I don't know.
Because he's gonna be back for the planning commission meeting, I think, right, I looked it up. So I think he comes back Wednesday.
You know, I'd like.
Who's going to be at the luncheon on Thursday? Okay, we only got 1. All right, so then. You want to go for Friday, 7:30?
Cool.
Special council meeting to approve the 2 letters.
you can't make
And
Friday.
you're not going to be here. We'll have 4.
Okay, as long as Porter's here.
Okay.
Mayor, does dispatch and the other one, do they need them this week as well? I know the county said they did, but do these other ones need them?
I don't
We just
know.
got them today.
Yeah. Yeah, the one I got, was announcing it, said the deadline was from Brett, from Joyce, saying, hey, we're doing these grants, it's due on the 13th. All right, so we will meet Friday, St. Patrick's Day, 7:30, Village Hall. Special council meeting,
Stop. Let me pick up fruit.
At 7:30?
7:30 in the morning, Ruth.
What time you want me to call you, Ruth?
7:25 a.m.
7:30, okay. And I'll get the 2 letters out tomorrow. The dispatch letter and the letter to support Chagrin Falls water line. And then we can vote on that on Friday. All right, next thing. While you're looking over there at Ruth, years ago, we bought green shirts. They were like $30. Since this is our 100th year, if you're interested in a shirt similar to that, let me know. It's,
When we decide on a new logo, I'd like something like that.
logo.
This one looks like it's a little bit shop worn there, but that's okay.
Yes,
We've got-
it's had a lot of good use.
Okay. Tim has given me a person that does shirts, so I looked up their prices. They're very economical. So if anybody's interested, I'm going to research it further, actually talk to the person, and we'll go forward.
Okay, next thing, there was a wonderful meeting, the first ESID meeting occurred here last Monday. We had representatives from Russell Township, Bainbridge, us, and we had from our residents, Parkland Dam was here, Manabrook was here, and Country Estates were here. We also had people from Lake Lucerne, all talking about the ESID. The surprise to me, Manabrook is ready to go. They have the people, they have their bids, and they're ready to start the ESID. So they're really jumping up.
I'm sorry, Mayor. Manabrook?
Manabrook Gardens Homeowners Association.
So you're talking phase 2?
Pardon me. The Manabrook Garden Homeowners Association are going to want to create an ESID to take care of the drainage and the water issues around their condos.
Okay.
Basically, I think the land over the 40 years has flattened out, the swales and everything are gone. So they're ready to get an e-cig. The other good news is Parkland Dam, they think is now down from 400,000 to possibly 70,000. The Christina O'Brien from Bainbridge was elected as the chairman of the Geauga County e-cig. Mark was elected vice chairman, Mark was elected
Secretary.
secretary. Nancy Moran, a resident of South Russell, was elected as the vice chair. And Richard Sui, he is a resident of Country Estates, was elected as the treasurer. So this, the meeting was one of those meetings when it was over at 8 o'clock, people stayed around for 20 minutes talking. We got to give thanks to Chuck Walder. He was here mainly as a supporter of Russell Township, but his office did a lot to make this work. And he was very clear in explaining to these people how things are going to go. So it was a very good initial e-cig meeting. Tuesday night was, Wednesday night, they had a 2-hour meeting on wells and groundwater. It was held out at the county office, the county library out on Ravenna. I think, I don't know the exact location.
Washington.
Their headquarters out by the county. This was 55 people. It was sold out. They talked about groundwater and stormwater. And it was very well done, especially after the East Palestine situation. They answered tons of questions, a lot of different suggestions. Some people came home and said, I'm never fertilizing my yard again, stuff like that. But it was very good. I'll have some notes on that coming up.
Who led that, Mayor? Geauga Soil?
Geauga Soil and Water, but mainly it was the people. They had 4 different presenters from the Ohio EPA, and they were very good and very patient. In the last newsletter we sent out saying, hey, if you want your water tested, we've had 9 people respond that they want their water tested. Other than that, that's it for the mayor's report. Questions of the mayor?
Of the water testing, is it dispersed geographically throughout the village?
No, it wasn't as good as what I wanted. I wanted the people at the ends of the runs and things like that. But it's only, as I said, there are 9 of them, and they're different neighborhoods though, so it's nice. I think, just having somebody in a neighborhood to say, yeah, I had my water tested and this is what was found. Okay, fiscal officer, the floor is yours.
I distributed my report to mayor and council. I don't know if there are any questions.
Just a point,
Uh-huh.
the yard sale and notifying the HOAs, I've already notified them a couple times.
Okay,
that
so
they
they
can
do
get
know.
prepared.
Okay.
Yeah, I still think we'll get some questions, but I think they should be ready.
And then regarding the advertising, the color ad sample I gave you to do it for 4 weeks is over $1,300.
Nope.
And the other one, the black and white, is only $340. I personally wanted more details in the ad because if we went with that color one, we're gonna get a lot of phone calls saying, where is it at? Is it at Village Campus? How does it work? So the other one, I tried to set up just to give more of the details. I don't know if council's okay with that. Do you want that run 4
Do we
times?
have to do it 4 times? Is that necessary, do you think?
That's what the mayor requested. So that's why I'm looking for input, because at $1,340, you're wiping out my advertising budget and I have to advertise legislation.
No, it's
So,
ridiculous.
This is just for the Chagrin Valley Times.
yeah, I didn't get prices from anybody else.
Does the bank, I don't even know what it's called now.
Bainbridge Banner used to be.
It's changed, it's
Yeah,
what?
it's changed, it's something else now.
Spirit of Bainbridge?
Spirit of Bainbridge.
Spirit of Bainbridge? Do they?
Yeah,
I would
that's it.
imagine they charge a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't get price in there. I didn't know how much council wanted to advertise this because, then we heard from some residents who are concerned about, you're gonna put this out there to everybody and then you're bringing everybody to South Russell. And some people had concerns about that as well,
How
so.
about just giving the fiscal officer a limit of $500 and put maybe 3 ads in the Chagrin Valley Times and look at the Spirit of Bainbridge and the Maple Leaf? I know the Maple Leaf, that
No,
reporter
but
calls me every Sunday.
You'll have everybody coming down here like a stampede to the rich people in South Russell, for God's sake.
And if it rains, we'll have nobody. All right, it's $500 enough?
500, that's fine with me.
That still comes out of your budget though, right?
Yeah.
Which is gonna cut
If you have legal.
If I have a lot of legal ads, we'll have to see.
But you know what, I got in the mayor's fund, that 5,000 in it. Why don't you
Take it out of your.
take it out of there,
Okay, up to 500?
up to
Okay,
5.
so, motion to authorize up to $500 in advertising costs pursuant to the village yard sale program, and what's the date on that?
April 22nd,
April 22nd,
9 to 2.
Until 2 p.m.
right, 9 AM to 2 PM, so moved.
I'll second.
Moved by Berger, second by Canton, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes.
Thank you. Secondly, just to piggyback on what the mayor said, the thing with Manor Brook, they filled out that petition. So if the mayor, you gave me a copy of it, and at the meeting with ESID, like, the county didn't know about it. So the next day I forwarded it to Kevin Butler from McDonald Hopkins, and I said, is this everything we need to, council has to pass legislation? Council no longer needs to pass legislation, that was just to get the ESID established. So the community came to us with their petition. I forwarded that to the county. Now they're aware of it. It's between the two of them. When it gets to the point that they decide to go forward with the project, and then there would be an assessment, that's when council will weigh in from here forward.
Yeah, there are a lot of surprised people here Monday night, and Manor said, we have our bids, we're ready to go. Like, oh,
And then I just wanted to know how many people were planning on going tomorrow to that walkthrough at Manor Brook, so I know if I have to head over there with the.
And if I gotta get
report,
up
or
on Friday.
If I have 3 or more, I have to be there, so we don't think we'll have 3. That's, and then lastly, I have a card for Mayor Young's family, if you could pass around and sign it.
thank
That's
you.
all I have.
Questions of the fiscal officer? Okay, finance. You're up.
Yes, first action is, in your packet was the credit card report from 3/13/23. Motion to acknowledge receipt of the credit card report.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Next one.
Okay, the mayor has, is this the document you gave me, Mayor?
No, we're doing the after prom,
The after prom,
Yeah.
which is
500.
$500.
Yes.
Okay, so once again, Chagrin Falls After Prom Parent Committee has asked the village to make a donation to the After Prom in the amount of $500.
Second.
Moved and seconded, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay. The next Finance Committee meeting will be Friday, March 24th at 9 AM. And subject to Councilman Galicki's comments, that concludes the report.
I just have one thing to add. It's come to my attention that our fiscal officer has received accolade for the best project for her municipal certification course. So not only is it indicative of the hard work that you put into the course, money well spent by the village, but also you chose a topic which are going to have lasting returns to the village with respect to the 5-year fiscal plan.
What's the title of it, Danielle? Let's hear it.
It's a 5-year financial forecast for transparency, which we're going to start working on at the next council meeting. So yes,
When's your graduation?
May.
Okay.
No further comment.
One comment about financing. I did give to the Finance Committee the letter from the Village of Moreland Hills. They wanted us to kick in $500 from the 6 different communities or something for Chagrin Falls. I talked to the mayor of Moreland Hills, it was his idea, and that'll be put off till the fall. But you have a copy of about everything you know.
Okay?
All right, we're solicitor.
I have nothing to report.
Eric, it's good to see you sitting over there.
It's good to be seen. I have a few things on my agenda tonight. It looks like we're gonna have a motion to accept the bid from Grade Line incorporated for the culvert replacement project. See, that's on the main agenda, so I can cross that off of mine. Just wanted to make sure that got done. Ms. Councilman Bell, is it okay if I touch on the road program? We have
Yes, please.
meeting, okay. I attended the Streets Committee meeting, it was last week, and we discussed, at length, what roads we want to see paved under this year's road program. And the Streets Committee settled on the following. Woodside at an estimated cost of $223,000. Maple Springs at an estimated cost of $301,000. Add in $50,000 for spot pavement repairs around the village, and we've got $574,000 estimated for the cost of the road program base bid. It was also noted by Streets Committee that the PCI rating for Southwick was also rather low, among the worst. And the estimated cost for that's $325,000, and we're gonna include Southwick in the road program as an alternate, so depending on how the prices come in, we can give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. So that's where we're at. Woodside, Maple Springs, and some base repairs or spot repairs as a base bid, and an alternate of Southwick as the yes or no alternate depending on prices. Last council meeting, I believe it was the chief that brought forth an additional cost for the traffic signal project. Due to a conflict with the gas main on the northeast quadrant, right over there, of the traffic signal project, that was, the gas main conflict was raised and brought to us after the project had gone out to bid. Previously, Dominion had said, okay, we have nothing in the way there, it's all clear. So we went ahead, finalized the plan, put it out to bid, and they came back and said, oh, we forgot something. We have this 4-inch gas main. And we needed to jump through a bunch of hoops to relocate our foundation, signal support and mast arm that's planned to go in that northeast quadrant. We received an easement, a 10-foot by 10-foot easement from the insurance company that says, yeah, you can come 10 foot outside the right of way and shift everything over 7 feet. So we're thankful for that. However, the price that Aram Electric quoted for the additional length of arm, since we're shifting the foundation 7 feet, we need a 7-foot longer arm. The cost for the additional arm or the additional length of the arm was $2,183. It's my understanding that council heard and approved that. That's not the complete story. With that additional arm or additional length of that arm, we need a more stout foundation for that pole, and I'm right around $1,500. I don't have a firm price from Aram back yet. We provided the detail to them and said, okay, the foundation needs to be modified in the following way. I think it's gonna come in around $1,500, which puts the total cost for that at $3,700, not just $2,183 for the piece of steel. So I'm looking for if council says, yeah, that's fine, it is necessary, and I'm just looking for basically some concurrence from Streets Committee and or council to write that change order. In an amount of not to exceed $4,000. Like I said, I think it's gonna come in around $3,700, which is all inclusive for the deeper foundation, the bigger foundation, and the more rebar that's required for that longer arm. So if I could, I don't know what the mechanism, Bridie, is for that.
Yeah, do you have anything, do we have like a?
Yeah.
I think up to 4,000 is the way to do it.
Okay.
For the amount, right?
In total for the two, because we already did the 2183 last time.
Yeah, so another $1,500 for the
Yes.
foundation.
Yes, so you would add those two together. I'm sorry, we did that the last meeting, I
The
apologize.
2183, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I might add that maybe safety should make the motion because this is their project.
It's up to 4,000? Correct?
Up to $4,000 for the necessary relocation of that.
Okay, that's the
signal.
traffic control signal.
Correct.
Before we do that, do we want to tie in the acknowledgement that if we had to move the dry insurance sign, or you want to keep those separate?
Let's keep them separate, but let's
Okay.
talk about that immediately after that.
Okay.
Okay, I make a motion that the traffic control signal support project, an increase of funds for that, no higher than $4,000 of increase.
We need a second.
Can we amend? Will you allow me to amend the motion
Absolutely.
for specifically the extended arms
Yes,
of 2183, is that
Correct.
amount, and an approximate amount of $1,500 additional base work
for the foundation.
for the foundation in support of the stanchion, whatever it is.
Yep.
Okay, not to exceed $4,000.
Very good.
Then you're seconding that, right?
No, I'm amending it, so
Second.
Dennis,
there you go.
Group project.
Trying to be helpful there.
Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes.
Thank you, council. I didn't want to bring that up last minute, but it's kind of imperative that we keep that moving forward. And I didn't get that estimate for the foundation until midday today. So thank you. I think that's all I have as far as the engineer's report, barring any questions.
Is
Questions
it
over?
your 100th anniversary as well?
It's
100 CT?
I think last year was actually our 100th anniversary. I think we were 1922 to 2022.
All right, just so you're not stealing our thunder.
Now, we've been around for a good long while, just like the village.
Okay, the owner of Dry Insurance, we're going to be in his yard. He had, last Friday, signed off that we could have an easement for his property. One request was that if the new post affects his dry insurance sign, the village would cover the costs. So Eric, you want to talk about that?
Sure. Brady and I had a discussion about this last Friday. The area where our 10-foot by 10-foot easement is located isn't actually very close at all to the dry insurance sign. So the likelihood of our work impacting negatively that sign or necessitating the need to pick it up, get it out of the way and put it back is super, super unlikely. I'll never say it's a 0%, but it's a 0.5% chance. I don't see any impact to the sign based on the location of that easement.
So,
No issue with the electrical feed to the sign?
That's why I give it a 0.5% chance. I believe the electrical feed for that sign comes from the building itself. I don't see any evidence of that. I went out and looked this weekend. I didn't see any evidence of a line coming down the existing power pole and then going underground to that sign. So it's my understanding that that sign is fed from the structure.
okay, so I'm going to ask Councilman Campton to make a motion to acknowledge the March the 13th agreement between the village and Dry Insurance, that the village would pay the cost of moving the Dry Insurance sign if necessary.
Okay. I would like to make a motion that if the traffic control signal support impedes the dry insurance sign, that the village will pay for the relocation of the sign.
It's been moved. Do we have a second?
I can grudgingly second that. I almost want to put on the end of that, but it better not.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion.
Question,
Yes.
what defines necessity? And specifically, I have two thoughts. Are we talking about the support stanchion physically interfering with the sign, or are we talking about the support stanchion
Vision.
blocking the line of sight from traffic passing from, moving northbound along 306.
Could be pretty subjective.
Which, well, okay, I mean, and who's gonna make that call before we agree to a blank check?
So we really should have a picture of what we're looking at.
Well, and I think the problem is we don't know exactly to the print. I mean, we don't have a red mark on the ground of X marks the spot of where the stanchion's gonna go. So we can't put up a pole or anything like that and then look at it from the traffic perspective and see exactly what the issue is. So whose opinion counts here?
I have one. We have an existing mast, poles around all four corners of the intersection. If the current one doesn't, affect the sign, how many feet away from the current spanner mast is the new pole going to be set?
It looks like about 12 feet, not even.
It should make no difference
Okay.
whatsoever.
I mean, I'm not an engineer, I'm just asking the question.
Good question.
Before somebody walks across the road and says, oh, by the way, you need to pay to move my sign, and it turns into a $5,000
Yeah.
I think I think council should clarify that, and I think it was the intent of the property owner. If this new signal support is gonna necessitate moving my sign out of the way to install the signal support,
Okay.
I want you guys to put it back to where it was. I think I think they're interested in a physical conflict between the signal support and their existing sign, which I do not believe exists.
Then can we amend the motion to say, that if this is a physical necessity, because the stanchion and the sign are in physical conflict, yes, the village will resolve that problem
By relocating the sign.
by relocating the sign.
Are you amending?
I'm amending the motion, because that seems what I'm doing tonight.
Very good.
Mark's not here, so I'm taking his
It's
spot.
been moved and seconded.
Well, we need the second.
Do you need to second the amendment?
Jerry's gonna.
I will second the
Wait a minute. You made the motion.
No, Mark
Kevin all
amended it,
seconded.
or Chris
You've
amended it.
And now Jerry's gonna second the amendment.
Second the amendment. Ruth, are you gonna second, or, no? I don't know anymore.
Now we're out.
All those, okay.
No.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passed. Just to let you know, we did mark in his yard, January, we put a mark where the pole was going to be. That's before it was moved. He has since asked to put a stake in the ground once we know where it's gonna be. Like Gary says, looking at the pictures that Eric provided, it's not gonna be an issue.
Mayor, I'll revise
Finish
the
last word.
acknowledgement based on the
We'll
motion,
revise the acknowledgement.
and then I'll send it to you, and then if you
I'll
want to
hang
give it
on
to
to it,
Mr.
I'll take it to him. He does not have to sign this, correct?
No, it's
No.
just the village
Okay.
saying.
All right, Eric, anything else?
Not that I'm aware of.
All right, street commissioner, you're up.
Thank you, Mayor. I submitted my monthly report for February. Additionally, the board of directors for Trumbull Solid Waste District voted and approved our $3,500 dumpster grant for trash day. And also the delivery date for the loader was March 20th. It's been moved up. I don't have a date, but it's gonna be sooner than that. And also the loader manufacturer has waived the $1,450 upcharge for the tires.
Good news.
And that's wonderful.
Amen.
Yeah.
Good job.
Questions of our street commissioner?
Good job.
Tim, can you just, maybe to educate everybody, when you do mutual aid to Chagrin Falls with roadside mower to clear line of sight in North Street, this is just, we take our stuff and do work on their property.
Correct. We borrowed their sewer jet. We always get manpower with the sewer jet, so we return with the
When they-
mower or anything else.
All right. Eric, two questions that I got out of sequence here. One is, your opinion, the Chagrin Falls, the bridge, Tim Lanning is dealing with that. They did not get a bid to replace the Main Street bridge in Chagrin Falls. Do you know if that was just because of money or difficulty of the job, or any idea?
Don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Secondly, our stormwater report is due the end of March.
Correct.
We're rolling along on that.
I believe within the next 2 weeks, we'll be having our annual stormwater meeting and make sure we get it done.
Okay. All right. Any questions? We did the street commissioner, street committee.
Street Committee, as the mayor noted at our last meeting, you also saw in your packets, we received 6 bids for the Chillicothe Culvert project. It ranged from $148,000 to $288,000. The winning bidder was Grade Line Inc. They intend to begin work, I believe, mid-June. Is that right, Eric, after school's out?
After school's out.
And they should be done before Chillicothe is paved.
Right. Correct. It's imperative that it's done.
Yeah. With that, I'd like to make a motion to accept the bid. So a motion to give authority to the mayor, fiscal officer, engineer, and solicitor to accept the culvert replacement project bid from Grade Line Inc. for $147,918, declaring an emergency and move to waive further readings.
This is just a motion
This is
to
just a
accept,
motion,
right?
right.
And then we'll have the
Right. He
legislation
needs a
for the
second.
next meeting.
Okay, perfect.
Who's street?
Marcus. and I.
Second.
Kavanaugh, seconds. Discussion. Amendment, Mr. Berger.
Not here.
Feel left out.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes.
Great. So we'll accept it officially next meeting.
Yeah, this will allow the
Perfect.
paperwork to get prepared.
Perfect. Eric did a great recap of the streets. As you all saw the ratings in your packet and estimated cost for the 5-year plan. We recognized that when we did the budget last fall, we allocated a significant amount between our roads program, which also included East Washington Street with the county. I think with increasing costs for other potential projects like the dome and some other unexpected costs, we may want to be a little more fiscally conservative with our roads program this year. So that is why we are, for now, as Eric mentioned, we're going to recommend the council that we go to bid for Woodside Road and Maple Springs, with Southwick being an alternative or alternate, to see how the bids come in, and then we can move forward from there. Really, at this point, I believe the engineer, you said, we really don't know what's going to come with these prices this year. I think you said this is the least confident you've ever been.
I'm less confident in my estimated costs this year than I've ever been.
So it may come back and we might fall out of our chairs. But for now, these are the roads and an alternate. We're recommending to go to bid, see what comes back. So
So make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion.
To go out to bid.
Yep. Let's see here. Motion to allow the mayor, engineer, solicitor, and fiscal officer to solicit bids for the 2023 roads program, which will include Woodside Road, Maple Springs Drive, with Southwick Drive serving as an alternate. Declaring emergency?
No,
All right.
just a motion.
That's it.
Just a motion. He needs a second.
Second.
Second by Berger. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes.
I have a question. Unless, are you done, Chris?
No, he's,
I'm not, a few more, but
he's on the salt dome. He's working our way down the
Go
agenda.
ahead.
The salt dome, the engineer provided a site plan for us. Eric, that's just east of where the dome is now.
Correct.
I guess we shouldn't call it a dome anymore too for the project.
Right, the salt storage building.
Salt storage bin. The streets commissioner has asked if it would be okay to start clearing the land for that project. The opinion of the committee was, even if we delay the project for a while, if we have to, if we're forced to, worst case scenario, the land's gonna have to be cleared anyway. But we wanted to get the opinion of council to see your thoughts on that, of moving forward with clearing up the land. Are you all familiar with the site of the project?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
You know what? You wanted us, should we have him stake it out this week so people could drive by?
Sure.
Put yellow caution tape, just say,
That'd be fantastic.
square it around. All right.
I'll get an idea what you'd be working on clearing out.
Concerning the salt dome, I do have a question for Eric. Eric, I'm sure this has been considered, but, within the past week, there was an article in Maple Leaf about Parkman, and they're having to
They've got a salt intrusion problem into wells because of the runoff from their dome, okay? And, one of the things that came to mind now, instead of the 100-foot depth well is contaminated, they're having to go down to 300 feet in the surrounding homes to get potable water. One of the things that, came to mind is I know we haven't had potable water in the village hall or the campus here for a while. I don't know what the source of that contamination, whether it's bacteria, whether it's salt, I don't know if you even hold a copy of that study of the testing, which makes the water on the campus not potable. But it occurred to me that, does the design incorporate any kind of layer abatement type of system so that adjacent properties, i.e. Kensington Green or whatever, those folks will have their wells potentially affected by salt dome runoff. So
That's a great question, and one that I'm not sure I can answer 100% to my own 100% satisfaction. I will say that the EPA requires all salt storage to be covered so that rainwater doesn't just hit a giant exposed salt pile and leach salt-laden runoff everywhere. The new building won't necessarily provide any more, or certainly no less, protection than our current dome does. As long as the streets department and the workers therein keep the loading pad of the new salt storage building as clean as they have kept the loading pad of the old salt storage building, I can't anticipate any additional runoff.
Well, and the only thing that I'm concerned about, again, is that, EPA's standards always seem to get tighter over time.
They do.
The existing structure may have been grandfathered in because of the existing standards at the time of construction. But, it might behoove us to just take a look at the specs for the new construction to see if it complies with all EPA standards.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. We wouldn't we wouldn't design and recommend a building that was out of conformance.
And I don't know the details of how, contamination seeped from Parkman's dome, but, if they didn't have a concrete pad, which they're loading the trucks off of, you get that potential runoff for any spillage of salt that you might have in that vicinity. So,
That was in the Maple Leaf, you say, Dennis? So if there's in new house building that's not in any of the old Pawpaw houses, you have a moisture barrier and then your foundation. So wouldn't there be, I'm sure, multiple ways you do a barrier so that there couldn't be some kind of seepage?
I would speculate, without knowing the details of the Parkman situation, that if it was a covered storage building, which I'm assuming it is, either their roof was really badly leaking and let a lot of water in to saturate that salt pile, and it was running out through the cracks of the building, basically. Or it could be a grading issue where you've got sheet flow running off in an adjacent paved area into the building, pooling water that's getting completely saturated with salt, and then running out from there. Those are two possibilities that could explain.
And I'm not looking for an explanation. I guess the only thing that I want to raise the question about as we go forward with this project is that we are compliant with, any existing EPA standards.
And any anticipated standards coming down the line.
Anticipation, because, we are relatively close to residential housing, so.
This design is used in Orange Village, and we're going off of their plans. It is designed for a salt storage building. And we are mandated by stormwater to keep that area clean in front of the salt. And there's a berm in front of the salt dome that keeps the rainwater out of the building.
When Orange Village built their salt dome?
Eric, 14?
Give or take, yeah.
So, in 10 years, a lot could change.
Right, what has changed?
So all I'm saying is due diligence, forewarned is forearmed. And, it's better to do that than pay for new wells for adjacent housing, which might include yours, Chris. So,
First thing I thought. I read that article too.
but, it's something to be concerned about because, that article just struck home a little bit about, I didn't even think that there could be contamination from a salt dome.
Right.
Did they lay it, I'll read it, but did they lay it specifically on the salt dome?
Yes.
Because Parkman has water issues to begin with.
It's right behind the town hall, been there for 50 years? And they think- That's what they're.
Very similar to what we have.
Yep. Okay, you're still up, Chris?
Still up. As the mayor mentioned, the Geauga County Department of Water Resources came to the streets meeting on Tuesday. As a result of the meeting, as the mayor already went through, they were asking for support because they are doing upgrades to the McFarland wastewater stormwater treatment plant, or stormwater treatment, wastewater, what's it called now? Anyway, in preparation for that, they're examining multiple communities that are serviced by that plant because they're experiencing an exorbitant amount of stormwater coming through the sanitary lines into their treatment plant. As you can imagine, their system isn't built to process that much water. As a result, if they can't process it, it just has to flow right through. So I wouldn't want to be downstream. But as they prepare to make the new plant stronger, they are trying to find the source of all the storm water, and that includes surveying South Russell. So a lot of the west end of the village, I believe it's only the west end, they have flow gauges in the sewers and also rain gauges outside, so they can potentially find the issue and fix it. That might include at some point engaging homeowners through the water district. At this point, we don't know. It's a 90-day study, and it just started on March 1st. So people in the village may see white vans. I believe the company's ADS out of Valley View. They don't have to fret thinking that it's some kind of federal government operative trying to tap their phone lines. It's part of a stormwater study. That is all I have for streets at this moment. Our next meeting is on April the 7th at 7:30 a.m. in the Service Department office.
What was that date again, Chris?
April 7th.
April 7th, all right.
We'll hopefully get back to a regular schedule again.
April 7th at 7:30, you said?
Yep.
Got it, thank you.
Here's my question that I almost interrupted you for, Christelle.
No.
Is it true Woodside hasn't been paid since 1997?
It was a long time, is that correct?
Yeah.
Wow. So was that something great that it lasted that long, or?
Perhaps. Yes, it is great that it lasted that long.
And not a lot of traffic.
It doesn't get a lot of traffic, and really drainage affects the longevity of a pavement more than any other factor. So it's either a very stable subgrade or a very well-drained subgrade, which refers to the dirt that's underneath the road. It's holding up well, it's supporting the road well.
All right, interesting.
Chris, that's some good stuff coming. I was impressed with the county guys. last
Yeah, I really
week.
appreciate them
They really seem to
keeping
be
us all
on
on the
top.
same page. Yeah.
Just to remind you, Kensington Green is the last community that has sewers on this side of Bell, and Bellwood's the last. Everything else, when you go down the big hills, Lake Louise, off of Maple Springs, they're all on septic check. Okay, we are now at the building committee. You're still up.
Building committee met on March 2nd. The minutes have been added to your packets for your review. Our next meeting is on April the 6th at 8 a.m. in the building department. Of note from our last meeting, Ruth gave us a recap of the last few years of permits filed. In 2022, we had 491 permits filed, a little bit of a decrease from the 560 in 2021, but still higher than 2019 at 301 and 2020 at 333. I am curious if it wasn't a pandemic year where 2020 had more or less. I don't know how that affected it. So any Depending on any notes from Councilman
I
Canton.
have nothing to
You have
add.
nothing to add? All right.
I have nothing to amend.
Any questions on the building, from the building committee? Chief?
Thank you. I submitted the month-end report, and I just wanted to remind everybody that we will be holding our SCAMS Targeting Seniors presentation Monday, April 17th here at Village Hall.
I happen to notice a flock camera on the corner of 306 and Manor Brook.
Yes,
When did that go up?
on the 9th.
On the 9th?
Yeah, there's 2 more to go up still.
And their locations again?
Shearbrook and 306, Manor Brook and 306, Snyder Road, and Hemlock.
Very good.
Questions of our police chief? There is a nice article in Cleveland Plain Dealer about hot cameras. I don't remember what the date is. Safety committee.
Thank you very much, Mayor. The next meeting will be held at the police station at 9 a.m. on April the 6th. This time I yield to Councilman Galecki if he has anything to add.
Nothing to add, Jerry.
That'll be all.
Questions of the safety committee? HR committee.
HR met on March 2nd and went through a number of things. I passed out my notes and Danielle added hers because I missed some things. And does anybody have any questions or comments?
Okay. Questions of the HR committee? Ruth, back to you for the property committee.
Properties met also on March 2nd. Again, notes were passed out. And the only thing I'm frustrated with, the bathroom conversation keeps going on and on. The flag, I spent some time looking this up and I know how Dennis will react to it, but the flag being lit is not law. It's strong recommendation at night, at dark.
Just for the record, I take exception with Councilman Kavanaugh's statement. It's under the U.S. Flag Code, which is a codified law. So
So that is law,
it is
the
law,
flag code? So is that federal law?
indeed.
I believe, if I may add, that the group that wants to give us the funds for the flag pole, and yes, the Golden Gate Lodge 245, they brought up the fact that it would look great being illuminated in the night. You know,
But the
that was
cost
one
is-
of the main things. I, with all due respect, I've never served in the armed forces, but I do agree that it should be illuminated. No question about that. Now, I know that the flags on the telephone poles aren't though. Is there a reason behind that, or?
Because we have chosen as a village to put flags on flagpoles. It's a
On
decoration
telephone poles.
or on telephone poles,
So there's no need for those to be?
I would say there's no need to even have them. I mean, it looks nice on 4th of July. Are we displaying them properly? Absolutely not. So do we do greater good by not displaying the flag properly or having a lot of color flying during the day?
Well, I do believe that the flags should be illuminated.
And so that's to my point. Do we do greater good by having the flag there but not illuminated? And how do we solve this cost thing?
Well, you can't have the flag there but not illuminated, unless you want to take the flag down every day at sunset. So, either if you want a flag, you want to fly it 24/7, it needs to be illuminated.
Street commissioners.
Yes.
To that point,
I did look into this a little bit, and if the concern is the cost of the meter base, which I will understand, $92, we're paying for each of the meter base at the cemetery and at the corner lot.
that's monthly.
That's monthly. A $7 electric bill, roughly, with a $92 service charge for the meter. I looked into, if we were to directional bore, hire a company to directional bore from the side of this building to Chillicothe, split both ways, go down through the mountain to the cemetery, underneath Chillicothe to that meter and provide the power from here. Also, at that T, take it north to the corner lot under Chillicothe to that meter base. We could eliminate those two bills.
That sounds huge
Well,
to get
the first
that done.
quote, the first quote I have is $14,000. Granted, 6 years, that's paid off. And then it's all, not necessarily profit, but that's a zero charge from there. Other than $7 additional.
And the $1,200 a year roughly, that's with the solar pack battery, correct?
No, that was electrical.
I know. We're gonna keep digging. I'm gonna
I
jump in.
know, I
I
want to
have
tell,
two other companies to provide an estimate for that. It's directionally boring a 2-inch pipe and pull boxes at each location. Every time there's a corner, you need a pull box. And it's everything included except for the wire. The wire we would have to buy.
Tim, Ruth is okay if I, it's your report, my apologies. Has First Energy ever raised the cost over the years of those utility boxes?
I don't know when they started it, but they're not gonna change it. I was told it's not gonna go down.
Not doing the hard work that Tim did. I went to NOPEC and said, what could you do for us? Basically, they said they could give us a loan, but we'd have to pay back. They said if you went to solar, it'd be 10 to 16,000, which is what Yoder Solar, the Amish gentleman, said it would be. He did throw me one lifeline, said the Cleveland Foundation does have a separate fund for certain causes. He said if you could just try it. So I think we'll just keep looking at this, and we'll eventually come here with the, do we accept the Masons donation or not? I think that's where we're headed. Okay,
I'm not quite done.
property, you got other stuff.
So that's the flag, to be continued. We have the nice woman that did the nest boxes, and Mayor, you know a little bit more about that than I do. She is either repairing or putting nest boxes in the park.
She has been volunteering for a year with the Bluebird houses. Basically, her comment is they're 8 years old, they should be replaced. She spent, I think, $500 of her own money buying poles of protection to keep critters and other things getting access to the Bluebird boxes. She contacted Pete McDonald from the Land Conservancy, and as I said, has been doing this for a year.
She's very dedicated.
Yeah, very dedicated.
And I'd like
just
to
a
mention
volunteer.
her name because
Pam
Pam Routte or
Yes.
something like that, yeah.
Yep.
All right, last, we have the Geauga Fresh Farmers Market Agreement that everybody should have gotten a copy of. It is identical except for dates to what they had last year. And so I would like to make a motion that we accept the contract from the Geauga Fresh Farmers Market between us and South Russell, if that's an appropriate thing to do.
And I'll
Us
second.
and South Russell.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, between us and Geauga Fresh.
It's been moved and seconded, discussion.
Who seconded?
I second.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bullfrog over there. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
And that's it for properties.
I do have one comment, if I may, concerning the 100th birthday party.
Mhm.
It's July 23rd.
That's just the village is 100 years old. We've
Right.
scaled way back on that.
Right. Now, do you think it might be prudent for us to have a ring date?
This was raised at the last council meeting, Jerry.
I know.
If it's cake and ice cream,
We can't return it or store it.
no,
So bring a spoon and an umbrella.
bring a bucket, bring your own bucket, yeah.
Okay, well, I realize that the fall festival, it can be rescheduled. Could be a headache depending on the vendors, of course, because they have other commitments. But, and I understand the fact that you can't give cake money. But the idea of a rain date, I think that might be a prudent thing to think about, but I guess.
Well, if the ice cream comes from a local vendor and we're having, say, lousy weather on a Friday, we could probably call the baker and say, no, don't make it. The cake will probably be made Saturday, pick up on Sunday. So we could make the call on the
So when would we have it? The 30th, the following week?
July 30th. Maybe that'd be a good idea. Just say it'll be July 30th. If, you get some hurricane that comes up through, who knows? All right.
Just a thought.
Just a thought. Let's think about it and make
All
a
right.
decision at the property committee meeting.
Okay,
Okay. Anything else for the property committee?
no, not for
Public
me.
Utilities.
Public Utilities will next meet on Friday, March 24th at 8 a.m. That's it for the report.
Okay, questions of Public Utilities? All right, Mr. Berger, we're ordinances a resolution, or do you want to do this one, or since it's money, but it's safety?
Would you just have to introduce it?
I just have to
No, we should
introduce,
go through 3 readings for these.
yeah. And I had it right there in front, there it is. Okay. This is a resolution declaring it necessary to levy a tax in excess of the 10 mil limitation because the amount of taxes which may be raised within the limitation will be insufficient to provide an adequate amount for the necessary requirements of the Village of South Russell. So moved.
First reading.
First reading.
First reading. Any other ordinances, resolutions? Where there's no bills list, we are new other.
New other Bell?
Briefly, yes, Mrs. Kimball, thank you for coming out this evening. Appreciate it. I imagine that was not easy. I just want to share, I know I'm empathetic of how you feel. I'm pretty confident that most people on the council here are empathetic of how you feel right now. That being said, I'd want you to take our lack of conversation back to you. We don't hear you. We're not listening to you. I just think, this is my personal opinion, this is a human resources matter, and I don't think it should be aired in a public setting. That's my personal opinion. If I was in your shoes, I probably wouldn't agree with that opinion, and I understand if you don't, but I hope you can at least respect that we're trying to stay with the process here. So we hear you, and thank you for coming. That's all I have.
Berger?
No.
Canton?
None.
Kavanaugh?
I echo what Chris Bell just said to Mrs. Kimball. And that's it.
And Kalicki?
I actually have 3 things, and the first one I bring up is, I noticed that we haven't been flying a flag at the Village Hall property here for a couple of months now. Is there any ETR when the halyard might be replaced?
We are waiting we have some tree work that needs done by Van Kuren, and they were gonna put it back up. Is the game plan to put the pool back up, because we don't have anything.
Do we have an estimated time when they might do that?
I don't have that right now, though. I'll find out.
This is the flagpole in front of your building,
In front of Village Hall.
on front of Village Hall.
Okay. Secondly, a couple of months ago, we had talked about all village vehicles having identification logos on them. Do all village vehicles have identification logos on them at this time?
The car does not.
Okay.
We have one for it, but.
So is there an intent to put it on in the near future?
Sure.
All right, please do.
For the building, we usually put that on when Dan starts, which would be about April. It has a decal on the side already.
It's a village vehicle.
Yeah.
It ought to have identifying marks so that, when you park it at, a place where it shouldn't be, people throughout the village can see, oh, there's an abuse there, if that happens. Thirdly, I would just ask my fellow members of council to please consider giving to the Harvest for Hunger campaign. We come from a very affluent and abundant community. So, but we have to realize that, you know, in very short distances from us, not everybody is as fortunate. So the donation boxes are each one of, I think, the village locations, and the streets department, the building department, and village hall here. So I would ask, please consider, a donation, because it helps the community, and like I said, we're very blessed to be in the situation and live in the community that we do, so thank you, that's all I have.
That's everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Councilman Cannon.
At this time, I would make a motion to enter into executive session for the purposes of discussing the possible purchase of property and conferring with the solicitor regarding pending or imminent litigation pursuant to sections 121.22 G, 2, and 3 of the Ohio Revised Code, and to invite the mayor, fiscal officer, and solicitor, and the police chief and the lieutenant.
Okay,
I'm sorry, Val,
Yeah, hi.
do we need a second?
Second,
Thank you. Bell's aye, Berger,
Aye.
Canton,
Aye.
Kavanaugh,
Aye.
Philippe.
we'll take a 5-minute break.
Somebody with two eyes, he needs to give an ear.